Welcome back to Fire Talks. My name is Chief Brunette. I'm Chief of Fire and Life Safety Section with the Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control, and it is my honor to be joined today by the members of our Building Codes branch. We have with us today Bill Bischoff. He's the Chief of the Building Codes branch. Then we've got John Weir, who's the Unit Chief for Plan Review for the branch, and then we've got Brian Horgan, who's the Unit Chief of Inspections for the branch. So that's just a brief introduction of them, but I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we'll start out with Bill. Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you, Chris, for taking the time to do this with us as members of the Building Code branch. And like everybody heard, my name is Bill Bischoff, and I am the Building Code branch chief. My entire career has been in construction in one form or another. I started out doing a 4-year carpentry apprenticeship, and then from there went into inspections after about 30 years of construction. And I've been doing inspections and plan reviews and now administration of a building department since then.
Excellent. I'm so glad to have you on today, Bill. And next we'll jump to John. John, can you tell us a little bit about your role and yourself?
Yeah, so I've been in the building codes business for a lot of years, over 30. I've seen both sides of the codes, both building and fire. So that's been a real joy for me to be able to experience both sides of the coin, so to speak. For the last 20 years, I've been exclusively doing nothing but plan review. And for the last 17 years, I've been doing it for the Division of Fire Prevention and Control. The last 12 of those, I've been doing that as the Plan Review Unit Chief. So it's been a lot of fun. There's no one day that's the same. There's nothing boring about the job because you always see different stuff. So I really enjoy what we do and our Plan Review team.
So when you say that it's fun, that tells me that you're the right guy doing that job, because I don't know how many other people would say that plan reviews are fun, but we're so glad to have you in that position, John. And Brian, let's kick it over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role.
Well, I'm Brian Horgan. I'm the Inspection Unit Chief for the Division of Fire Prevention and Control. And I have a very extensive background in building in general, really. My father had his own construction company. His father had his own construction company. And so at a very young age, I was working construction. And then I guess when I got in about high school, I swore I would never do construction for a living. And obviously that didn't happen. And I started my own construction company. And ultimately I ended up breaking my arm, believe it or not. And when I broke my arm, I went to work for a local jurisdiction as a building inspector, and then went to plan review, and then went to building official, and then came to the state as an inspector. And so I've been doing building codes and building related stuff my entire life. I've been in code enforcement for 25 years now. So it's been a good haul. I really love what I do. And I really enjoy it. I really do. So that's pretty much it.
Oh, that's great, Brian. Thank you. And I'm not going to give an exact number here, but based on what you all just said, just between the three of you, there's over 100 years of experience in building codes and construction. That's pretty amazing to think about. And I think we're pretty lucky here at the division to have that scope and depth of experience. So I'm just so happy to have you all as part of our team. So, well, we're going to jump into it here, and we're going to let our listeners know a little bit more about this branch and what it is that we do. And so, Bill, I'm going to start off by putting you on the spot and ask you to maybe give some background on what the branch does and the history of the branch.
I'm more than happy to, Chris. But first, I got to thank you for not getting specific on the amount of years that each of us have had experience in construction or whatever, because it'd be very telling as to age. But anyway, the public school construction program actually started in 1964. It was the original Colorado revised statute was approved in 1963, and then the program started in 1964, and it was housed in the Division of Fire, the Division of Oil and Public Safety in the Department of Labor and Employment. And up until about 2004 or 5, it was a one-man operation. And there was one person who had just enough time to do plan reviews. They averaged anywhere between 150 and 200 projects a year. And the one person had time to do plan review. And that was it. There weren't any inspections. And then they hired one inspector in about between 2000 and 2003. I'm not sure the exact date. But in 2007, there was an audit performed on a number of the different programs that were housed in oil and public safety. And one of them was the public school construction program. And they found over 150 deficits in the program, that things were just being missed because there wasn't enough staffing. And so funding was allocated to hire more staffing. And John, Brian, and I were among those people that were hired in 2008 to man up the public school construction program. And so we've been with this program since basically it became a viable program within the state government. And since that time, we were in the Division of Oil and Public Safety. Then in 2010, we were removed from the Department of Labor and Employment, Division of Oil and Public Safety, to the Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire Safety. And we resided there starting in 2010, and we're still in the same division, but the division has gone through some changes. It's now the Division of Fire Prevention and Control, and that was changed in 2012 when I believe wildland fire mitigation was moved over. And then we've grown since then, the division and the programs that are housed in the section of fire and life safety. And I think that's about all I have to say about it right now.
No, very good. Thank you, Bill. And so a question for you, when the program was moved over to the Division of Fire Safety at the time, was it just the three of you that were working in the program, or were there more employees than the three?
No, there were others. When we were hired on in 2008, there were 4 inspectors, 4 plans examiners, and 2 administrative assistants and a program manager that were hired all at the same time. And when we moved over, we had the 3 inspectors. I'm trying to think, was Michael replaced Brian? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I think he was, but I can't remember who it was.
And then there were two other plans examiners that came over with John at that time. Oh, actually three, and then one of them was promoted up to chief building official for a short amount of time.
Yes.
So if I'm following right, it was a chief building official, 2 plan reviewers, and 3 inspectors. Is that right?
It was at that time it was 4 plans examiners, the program manager, and 3 inspectors that came.
Okay. Wow. And were they all just doing building code enforcement, or were the fire inspectors part of that group as well?
The fire inspectors weren't hired yet. There was only 1 part-time fire inspector, along with 2 plans examiners, 2 fire plans examiners. One of them was Mark Wassam and the other one was Steve Gostowski. And they would go out periodically, but there wasn't a big fire inspection staff at that time. And Brian Cheek, who is now one of our full-time inspectors, was a part-time inspector on the fire prevention branch.
Wow.
And when we first came over, excuse me, Chris, but when we first came over, we all got our fire inspector certification and our fire inspector / plans examiner through the division. And so we would do not only the building code review, but we would also do the fire code review on the same project. And there were a lot of long nights for our plan review staff and a lot of long weeks for our inspection staff.
Yeah. Well, and I know that there's a lot of that now too. And so that kind of brings me to John. John, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about plan reviews, since you're the plan review unit chief. And maybe you can give us an idea of how many plan reviews we typically get in a year, and what that typically entails.
Yeah. So to kind of give a little history, there was a time when we were at Oil and Public Safety under OPS that we took paper drawings, and we would literally get maybe 350 projects a year submitted on paper. We would have rolls literally lined up down the aisles of the review area. And it was all done manually on paper with rules and slides and things like that. I don't remember the exact date we moved to electronic plan review, but that's been a godsend for us. No more paper. Right now we average, I'm going to say, around between 600 and 675 projects a year. Sometimes we get more than that. Like, for example, I think it was 2 years ago, we issued close to 900 permits. So it varies a little bit year by year, but it's usually never less than that. We have a total of 3 plan reviewers. Myself, we have an architect who does plan review, and we have another inspector that's certified to do part-time plan, part-time inspection. So between the 3 of us, we're very, very busy. Everything is done, like I say, electronically. It used to be when people submitted plans, we would see them in March, and then we'd have a pretty intense period of submission right up through June or July, and then it would taper off quite a bit going into the winter months, and then it would start all over again. Well, in the last 5 to 6 years, that is no longer the case. We have a very steady influx of projects year round. So we try to estimate the best times to give to our clients, our customers, as to how much time they have to wait to get a plan review in plan review once it's submitted. And that can vary, depends on the time of year. It can be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to, at our max busiest season, we could be 12 to 14 weeks. So there's never a dull moment, and we're busy, but that's, for me, that's kind of the fun of the job, because you don't see the same project every day. One day you may do a shed and you may do a PV system, and then the next day you may be working on a multi-story educational classroom building or something like that. So it's all over the board, and that's one of the things I think that keeps it very, very interesting.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea that you all were looking at that many plan reviews. And so once you've done the plan reviews and issued the permits, now it's time for inspections. And that's where Brian and his team come in. It looks like maybe Bill has something to add here.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that it's an average of probably 2 to 3 plan reviews per project. And even though we have this steady stream of projects coming in, we still get very busy in the spring with incoming projects. Because obviously summer is the best time to work on a school project, because school is not in session at that time. And so we still get a backlog starting typically in March, and then it runs through clear to July and August sometimes, of just plans that need to be reviewed. And I wanted to put a word in for the inspectors who are all certified as building plans examiners, and they are helping out with the smaller projects that come in, like playgrounds or a shed or a re-roof project. And now, Chris, thank you for allowing me to say that.
Yeah, no, thanks. That's good additional information. I appreciate it. So, yeah, Brian, once all these plan reviews have been completed, permits have been issued, then you and your team have to go out and take a look at what's being built. So do you guys do all the inspections that are required for these permits, or how does that work? And what all is your team doing out there in the field?
So basically, with the state, we have four full-time inspectors and one half-time inspector. And then he's also half-time in plan review. So he has a smaller territory. So with 4.5 people, we're covering the entire state, which makes it impossible to do all the roughs. So what we do is we certify pre-qualified building inspectors and make sure they're qualified, and then they do the roughs for us on majority of the projects, like most of our projects. And then we do all the final inspections to make sure everything was taken care of. So it gets very daunting July and August when we have all these schools that need to open up, and it gets long hours. It gets very long hours. In the wintertime, things slow down. Summertime is extremely busy. So I have a very educated, very intelligent staff that does a great job, which really helps. And then my purpose is really supporting them, giving them advice, following up on questions, violations, basically problems. And it's been working out really well.
Yeah, it sounds like that team just stays super busy, especially during those summer months when everybody's trying to get their work done. So this might be a question more for you, Bill, but tell us a little bit about where our responsibilities lie. I mean, do we have responsibility for all the schools in the state, or how does that work?
By statute, we are the authority having jurisdiction for public school construction on K through 12 schools. Anything above that, and let me clarify that, K through 12 plus junior college. And anything above that, any higher education goes through the Office of the State Architect for permitting. But K through 12 and junior colleges come to the Division of Fire Prevention and Control for permitting, plan review, inspections, and issuing of final documents, which could be a certificate of occupancy or a certificate of completion based on the scope of work done in the project. And so charter schools, typically, we have jurisdiction over those also because they're tied in with the school district or they're in with the state charter institute. But per statute, we have authority over those also. And our authority, excuse me, go ahead, Chris, I'll let you.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask, so do we at any point delegate that back to local jurisdictions?
That's exactly what I was going to get to, is that a local jurisdiction can apply to become a pre-qualified building department, who we then delegate our authority to for permitting, plan review, inspections, and issuing the closeout document, whether it's a certificate of occupancy or a certificate of completion. All interpretations would still be handled by Division of Fire Prevention and Control. Any notice of violation would be handled by Division of Fire Prevention and Control, because we're just delegating authority for the permitting process over to a local jurisdiction that shows that they have qualified staff. And by qualified staff, they have to have somebody on staff who has a commercial building inspector certification and somebody who has a commercial building plan review, plans examiner certification through ICC or another nationally recognized organization. And not only that, but we also register delegated building inspectors. Before we called them third-party inspectors, but there's a lot of confusion because in the overall construction world, when people are talking about third-party inspectors, they're talking about special inspectors who look at structural items, among other things. And so we finally got the clue and changed our third party to delegated building inspector. And we have special inspectors who we register and delegated building inspectors that we register. And that's what Brian was talking about. They go out and do the rough inspections. And then our inspectors will typically do a pre-construction meeting with the contractor. And if we can get the fire official there, the local fire official, if we can get the delegated building inspector there, so that everybody knows who is responsible for what. And then our inspectors, after that pre-construction meeting with the contractor and whoever else I can get to show, will do progress inspections, because we do schools that are up to 300,000 square feet in size. And so it'd be very tough to do a final inspection on a school that size that you've never been to before. And so they do progress inspections based on the how far along the work is progressing on those schools. They try to time it so that they're there at critical moments. They're there to answer any questions. They're there to look over the plans, go through anything that may be unclear as far as code compliance goes. And I just have to say that we have an excellent inspection staff and an excellent plan review staff. And so it makes John, Brian, and my job is very, very easy. I can't say easy, but we don't have a lot of time spent trying to correct what they've done that didn't fall in with our policies.
Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment. The staff that we have at the DFPC is just amazing, and I think we're pretty lucky to have the people that we do. And then there's a lot going on there. It sounds like we've done a lot of force multiplying by including the special inspectors and the delegated building inspectors. But I wanted to ask a little bit more about the pre-qualified building departments. So when a building department becomes pre-qualified, do they automatically just get delegated all the permitting work?
No, they do not. Once a local building department gets on our list of pre-qualified building departments, the school district board has the choice of either going through the local building department or through the Division of Fire Prevention and Control for the permitting. And then we don't tell them what the fees should be. We have our own fee structure, and each local building department, I'm sure, has their own fee structure also. They just have to use the codes as adopted by the Division of Fire Prevention and Control. So they may be on, I would say, the 2018 edition of the ICC code, but because the division is on the 2021 edition of those same codes, the local building department, the pre-qualified building department, has to review and inspect to the 2021 as adopted by the division.
And then I think I heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, if they come across something that needs some sort of judgment or interpretation, then they have to kick that to you and your team to complete that, correct?
Yes, that is correct, because it's just delegated authority for the permitting process. And so any interpretations of the codes as adopted by the division would come from the division.
Yeah, that's interesting. What a unique and complex program, but it sounds like it's been working well for a very long time. So, we have so many schools in this state, and you guys have done such a good job of protecting everybody who visits, works, and learns in those institutions. So I think the state's lucky to have you. Is there anything else any of you would like to add that maybe our listeners would like to know about the Building Codes branch?
If I may, I want to add that the entire division has just moved our office from 700 Kipling in Lakewood to 1697 Cole Boulevard in Golden. And Chris, you may be able to help, but there's going to be an open house, but I don't remember what the date is of that open house where the public can come and see our new dig.
Yeah. Let me see here. I don't know that I have that, but we'll definitely get it posted here. So if people can keep an eye out for that, we'd love for you to come visit us at our new headquarters in Golden. It's the first time that everybody located in the Denver metro area is actually housed in the same office space. And so it's truly our new headquarters, and we look forward to having people down and to share it. I did have one last thought. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say it, but a new addition to the Building Codes branch in the past couple of years is for plan review and permitting. We have our new permit technician position. I don't know if you'd like to talk a little bit about that, John.
Yeah, sure would. Mary came on board for us. I guess it's been about 2 years from now, and she went ahead and got all of her permit tech certifications, and she's doing a phenomenal job. She heads off a lot of the questions that that pertain to, do I need a permit for this, or how does the process work? I can't get into Salesforce, things like that. She is invaluable to the rest of the team and our staff, because without her, we would be so backlogged just trying to take care of the administrative duties in addition to our plan review and inspection responsibilities. But Mary is amazing. If you need something, she's the person you want to contact. And if you have specific questions that are code specific, then maybe she's not sure, she'll reach out to us. We'll get her an answer and she'll get back to you. But yeah, avail yourself of the knowledge and the expertise that Mary brings, because she's really truly an amazing person.
Yeah, that's been my experience. She just adds so much to this, what is already a well-oiled machine. I mean, everything from the permit intake process to the plan review to the inspections to Bill being available to steer the team in the right direction. It's just a pleasure to see how well it works and know that so many of our customers year after year are being supported, and our schools are so much safer because of it. So I appreciate you all for everything you do, and appreciate this opportunity to highlight the Building Codes branch, which really is a fully functioning building department within the Division of Fire Prevention and Control. And we're proud of the work that you do, and just keep it up. Thanks.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. One thing that I neglected to mention is that we also have jurisdiction over healthcare facilities if there's not a local building department where that healthcare facility work is going on. Then the permitting automatically follows to the Division of Fire Prevention and Control, and the building code process would follow to the building code branch.
Thanks, Bill. That sounds like a perfect topic for another time. So we will keep that in mind, and we'll make sure to cover it in more detail on a later Fire Talks. But for now, this is Fire Talks, and appreciate you all joining us. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.